Welcome back to the 1090 podcast. Um, Sam Josie bailed again. And so it's just me here with Levi Lieske.
Levi Lieske.
Levi Lieske. Levi, um, when did we go to Virginia, Ryan? A few months ago? So, dude, I go to Virginia. We're speaking at this juvenile detention center. We speak at 3 of them. So
Wow.
we're going all over Virginia. Really cool. These kids are really. How do you even explain these? Like they're, you were in like the nicest kids, but just really like messed up too.
Yeah.
And I remember, so I'm getting ready to have them come in and then talk to them. And so I'm with like the line staff, people that work there, really great people, by the way. And we're just kind of chit chatting, and I ask them, I'm like, so what percentage of these kids like are gonna be back here? Like how many of them come back to the juvenile detention? And it was an immediate response by almost all of them. Like they kind of laughed, shrugged their shoulders, like, "Oh, they'll be back. Like they're gonna be back." And then they threw out a statistic like 90 something percent of them are gonna come back. So it's just like, what are we doing? Like what system is this? So we're excited to have Levi on. Levi, we'll get into it when in a minute after the music, but Levi basically went to like juvenile detention when you were 12 to 17, roughly. Got out, went back to jail, 17 to 22 years of age, roughly. And then he went back to jail again, age 23 to 31 ish. I might be missing, it might be a little off. But that's so basically Levi is here. He's been in the system basically his whole life from the time he was 12 years old to 32 years old, Levi. Is that about right?
Yeah, that's very good.
And then Levi, you're how old are you now? 43?
I'm 43 years young. Probably the youngest 43-year-old I've ever seen.
You look good for 43. Like
I got all my hair. It's black.
You look at that hair.
Yeah.
You're looking good.
Thank you.
But yeah, should be a good one today. Life 10% what happens to you and 90% what you're gonna do about it. Levi, what's up, my man?
What's up?
I don't know about that Warriors hat though.
You know, it's funny because I actually wore it last time I was here, but I was coming out and I was like, yo, I was going to wear this black hat. And I saw the Warriors hat and I was like, I remember that being his favorite hat. So I put it on.
Yeah, dude. I'm a Steph Curry guy. Levi, let's dive right into it, dude. So you grow up in Utah?
Yeah, Logan. So weird. Born in Ogden, grew up in Logan.
O-Town, yeah, Ogden. Pretty. How many siblings did you have? Like normal.
So I have a normal Mormon family.
Grew up LDS.
Yeah, 5 siblings.
I mean, your name's Levi. So.
Yeah, Levi, which was a cool name outside of Utah, but
I
came back to Utah, and it's not as cool.
Yeah. So maybe tell us real quick about your childhood and then how that led into you going into juvenile detention around the age of 12, right?
Yeah.
And then it's weird. I'll let you tell the story, but it's weird to me because like you didn't do anything that crazy.
No.
It sounds like you were just kind of like maybe a little more reckless than the average teenager, but nothing wild, right?
No, it's because growing up in the 90s, so it's just a different era, Like I'm a kid in the 90s. I mean, obviously I was born in 80, so going through that, I'm just a kid. But in the 90s is when, 92 is when Dr. Dre and the whole culture started to change. Dude. Everybody was trying to be a thug and everything. And me, I'm just the small town kid. My family is from California, but my mom's from El Salvador. And my dad was in the Marines. He was a convert to the Mormon church, which kind of made our so was my mom. And so it just made our family like really stand out in this really rural white community. Logan, Utah, it was probably like 20,000 people and scattered, you know what I mean? 20,000 scattered. But so, I don't know. Growing up, I was just a really curious kid. And I think that like, that played into me not being the traditional Mormon kid and not looking the part. And I don't know, I just fit the role of anything they needed to like work with. You know, I was explaining the last time I was here on how when I was a kid, they knew I was a really good artist. They asked me to draw the.
Oh yeah.
They were trying to in 90. I think it was like 93. So I was probably like 13, like 92, 93. I was already getting in trouble. You know.
What do you mean? Like, just like fights
Running
at school, or like what are you doing?
fights at school or running away from home.
Okay.
I ran away. So me and my dad, I started bumping heads with my dad. My dad was, you know, he just got out of the United States Marines. So he thought that like, and coming from Daly City, California, he was just worried that I was going to become everything that I had became. Isn't that weird? It's like what you resist persists. They say that, you know what I mean?
I became everything he'd fear that I would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it just rough? What's it like having a military dad? Is he just like on your
Dude,
ass, like
dick.
make your bed and then
Yeah.
like
Dude, my dad, check this out. This had to be traumatizing. I never tell nobody this. And I actually just thought of it so crazy. My dad was so worried because 92 was like that thug life. Everybody started sagging their pants. And he's like, oh, you think you're gonna wear baggy clothes? And my mom knew how to sew really good and make clothes. So my dad had my mom make all my clothes. They had to be hemmed up above the thing, just like in the military.
Yeah.
Everything had to be creased. My pants could only go to my navel. The line of the shirt had to be right, bro. This shit. And then right when I got to school, I would just like rip all my clothes apart and just like start sagging them or whatever.
Yeah,
like
dude.
whatever it was to look cool. But I wouldn't keep it. Then I'd have to tuck it all in and walk home like I was in a military outfit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I tell you, because like the and one mixtape stuff,
Yeah.
the street ball, because I love basketball.
Okay.
So same thing is happening to me. I'm like this little white kid from Utah, and me and my buddies, we start sagging our pants and all this stuff. And my mom, my parents, they all just could not stand it at all. It was a battle. Not like you. Like that's the next level.
Yeah.
Okay, so bumping heads with your dad, getting in some fights, running away from home.
Running away from home is really what started me getting put into juvenile. So it wasn't even called detention. It was called attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they would throw you in attention. It was lockup. They would still lock your ass up for being a runaway, for being anything. And I ended up through like around the age of 12, I was in and out of attention, and detention was on the other side of the wall. So it was like the kids who committed the actual crimes. I was like, I got a smoking ticket one time. The main thing was running away from home.
Yeah.
And my dad was really abusive, man. And I wasn't the type of kid that would just sit there and take it. Like he could hit me a couple times and then I'm out the window or something and he could not catch me. I was too fast for his fat ass.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I remember telling him that too.
Yeah.
I would run like halfway down the street, be like, you fat ass, and then take off.
I do like, so you're telling me, so you're a gifted artist.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was I don't know if it was your school or what, but someone asked you to like draw up this design, right?
Yeah.
And the design was used for, what was
It was for Logan, right? This is 92-ish, and I'm coming in and out of attention. So being that attention's attached to detention, the cops are still interacting with all the kids that are in that whole facility, right?
Yeah.
So I'm starting to get known in the juvenile sector, even though I'm in the attention. I'm just a kid who keeps coming back in, having issues with his father, then having issues at school, et cetera, et cetera. And so they know who I am, and they know I'm an artist because I'm always drawing. Like every time I get attention, like when I'm on my own time, I'd be drawing or something, right?
Yeah.
And so they come in, it was like the school officer, Logan was deciding that they needed to create a gang unit because gang problems were happening in other cities.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you designed this logo for this gang unit.
And they wanted it to look like graffiti. So I created the logo.
Yeah.
And I remember, I created the logo for him. I drew it, and that was that, right? And about a year later, I was probably like 14 years old. So now I'm 14, and I'm now like this little thug, and I've already been in detention and out, and I committed some type of crime, I remember. Something happened. It might have been a fight, and I might have hit somebody with a bat or something. And then when they came to arrest me, It was a gang unit, and they
And
were wearing the logo I drew.
they had you the logo,
Yeah,
dude.
and I was like, "What the fuck?"
They should have gave you like a discount. Like, hey, like I made that logo, so like, can you guys take it? Like,
Yeah.
that's a good one. Okay, so 12 years old, you're kind of in and out of this system, and you're living with what would you call them, like foster parents?
Yeah, so it
And
was
they're
about 14 when I got
and they're like crackheads.
Yeah, so that was my first introduction to drugs because I was running away from home.
And this and Levi, this is like the weird, frustrating thing to me, and I don't know. This is just your story, so I don't know how much it pertains to other people. But like, and obviously, like hitting a kid with a bat's not good. Like you're doing things that aren't great, but like, it's almost like you're put in the system at such a young age, and then just hearing your story, it's to me, it kind of sounds like the system kind of molded you into like being a criminal type of thing. Because you're with these dope head foster parents.
Yeah.
You're living with your foster brothers who are all gang members.
Yeah.
And so now, like, they put you, like, now it's worse, I feel. Like, they put you in this situation, like, where you're surrounded by
a gang. Real for me.
Yeah. And now, like, so from 12 to 17, I feel like you kind of learn and were told almost and accepted that you were like this gangster kid. Like, this is who you are. I thought
that was a path. And, it's so crazy because the more and more you study children, now that I'm, a lot more mature and older in my life, and I look back and I say, and I had to do all this healing to get to this point right now to even sit here and talk to you. Like, I had to do so much like healing of my brain because I had so much PTSD after through all this, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But and I was really like, my mindset was so far out there. But you look at a child, and what was it about a child? Like, why did I hit a kid with a bat? And really it was anger, probably through my father. It's at
was
home.
It like not getting attention, not feeling loved, not feeling good enough?
Well, I was a daddy's boy, dude, growing up as a kid. And I always I was that kid that would like wait for his dad to get home, you know? And then by the time I'm telling you this story, I hated my father. So what happened? Well, my dad didn't know how. I was the second oldest, and my oldest brother, he just conformed to whatever my dad said. And my dad like moved him right into the Marines, So when he became like 17, he was like recruited to Marines. But up until then, he was like an honor student at school where I had friends. My older brother had no friends. He was a nerd, lightweight. And during that time, he was really like not antisocial, but he was just into the computer. And this is all like Commodore 64. He wanted to go home and get on AOL, and I didn't care about that. I wanted to go hang out with my friends and ride bicycles or whatever and go kiss girls or whatever, whatever it was. And that bothered my dad. I used to get and so I think that my dad used to just try to scrutinize everything that I did, and I started to become angry and rebellious. And so he tried to put like his way of controlling situation was intimidation. So my dad tried to punk, what we would say in the streets, try to punk me, and he did. So he would try to put fear into me, scare me to say, okay, whatever you say, I'll do. And and that ended up me doing that to the world. Like I need.
So you're like, tough. Hey, I'm gonna take all my aggression out on
everything,
getting in fights,
and then when I saw and really, I was just a kid full of emotion. I was just wanting to be accepted. Probably I wanted to be cool. I was really popular, so I think about it. I was just full of love. But when that love turns to fear, it becomes hate. So I became angry at the world, and I thought, like, if I wanted to be accepted. So when I had these Proctor brothers and these dudes were like tough and they were stronger than me, I'm 14, 15 years old. These guys are like 16,
you 17, look up 18. To them. Like,
I look up to them. They're tattooed. I'm like, oh man, I grew up in a Mormon family. My dad has one tattoo from a famous guy, which is remarkable. But like I was always taught against that, you know what I'm saying? And so all these guys are tattooed. They look crazy. They look mean, but in a way they look cool. No one's going to mess with these guys. And if these guys are my bros, ain't no one going to mess with me.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of like 12 to 17. You get out. And now you think you're big now, right? You think you're like this thug.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And, maybe you are, I don't know. And so then, maybe I am. Yeah, who knows? Okay, so you're out. And then, and just for time's sake, we got to speed this up. But then you're with your buddies, and the second time you go to jail is there's like this drive-by shooting, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I had like little, assault stints in jail, stuff like that, all in
Sure.
between. It's just like there's a bunch of little fuzz that goes all in between that. Cause I'm like, before like major situations happen, right? And yeah, just one day I just had some buddies. I was just in the wrong car at the wrong time.
You were 17
17.
and you're in a gang, right?
Yeah. Well,
And
no,
oh,
it's
sorry.
funny. I'm claiming a gang, but I'm not actually from the gang,
Right,
like
okay.
I'm a wannabe, bro. To keep it 100.
I appreciate the
Yeah,
honesty. I
was
love
a
it.
straight up wannabe, dude. But I was like this tough wannabe, like I was like a determined wannabe.
Well, it's better than being like a weak wannabe, I guess.
Which there was a lot of those back in those days,
Okay, so you're with these buddies and you're super young.
Yes.
You're in this car. You guys have a gun, and it wasn't planned. You like just saw these people as you're driving, and then you're like, you guys just get this terrible idea, like, hey, like we should drive by and shoot up the place, right? Is this right? I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah.
You're
No.
17, dude.
Yeah,
like, what's going?
He's
and
like,
you
"Yo,
didn't want to do it.
Let's let him have it.
You didn't want to do it. You're like, no. Like, what are we doing?
Well, immediately, because there was a girl, there was a not to categorize his race, but it was just like 23-year-old white kid with us. And I call him a kid because he's buying weed from us. We're 17 selling weed. He's in our car smoking with us. We're just on a space cruise, So he was accidentally there. But what's so funny is when the girl in the car recognized these Mexican guys from LA. They were like some ex-gangbangers or gangbangers from LA. It was like just a family feud. They were dating one of the girls and they fought and was connected to one of my friend's cousins, and then they beat him up. So when they saw it, it's like, hey, those are those Mexican guys that beat up so-and-so. The friend that was in the car, that was his cousin. He's like, what? And he had this 22 auto on him, and he's like, let's go scare him. Let's go dump at him and scare him, And I was like, at first, I was like, okay. I'm like, wait, no, we can't do this. I mean, we got the guy's name was Kirk or something like that. We got Kirk in here, got the girl, we got this other dude. I'm like, I think we should come back. So that was my argument with him. And when I told him, I said, man, we should drop everybody off and come back because it just doesn't seem right to be doing something like this with these random people in the vehicle. These three people were like, what? Oh, no, I'm staying, dude. They all wanted to be a part of it.
Crazy.
So crazy.
What's going, like, is jail time and ruining your life? Is that not going through your head? Like,
no, it's not.
And also,
it's not.
like, just killing another person in general.
Or something.
But here's the thing, though, and I was thinking about this when I was talking to you earlier. You guys are so young. And again, dude, I don't know anything about it.
No,
I base everything I know about jail and gangs off of Shawshank Redemption and Prison Break. Like, that's all I got. I don't know how it works, all right?
That's horrible.
But, like, when you're...
Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, when you're that young and you guys do something like this drive-by, are you trying to actually kill someone, or is it just get street cred? Are you, like, just shooting bullets into the dirt, or are you, like, actually...
Dude,
do you know what I'm asking?
Yeah.
Like, are you just trying to be cool and get street cred, or are you? And I know it's different. I'm sure some.
At 17,
I think sometimes it's like you're out for blood for sure, and other times like you're just trying.
I think it all starts with just street cred and just trying to be funny, because not even be funny, just be like serious, but like show people that you're not playing because you shot up the car, you purposely like missed everybody, And yes, that's very common, right? But then when someone does, this is how gang wars start. Someone does get killed, and all of a sudden it's no longer, it's like, you killed my brother, dude. I'm gonna kill you, I promise. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah.
What a world.
What a world,
what a
dude.
life, dude.
Yeah.
It's just so bizarre.
It's bizarre. And I'm glad that I was able to separate my life from that, and all, and when I hear you going to talk to people, I think that's phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? I definitely would like to do that more. I've done that a couple times, but it was just on the fluke, like meeting somebody and they're like, hey, you want to come talk? And I would, but it wasn't like I went on tour like you did.
Well, Levi, you're so interesting because you're very charismatic. You really good people skills, really easy to just have a conversation with and talk to. But then you're like, yeah, I beat this kid up with a bat and I did a drive by. I'm like, what? Like Levi, how? Levi, like it just doesn't. It doesn't like what? I just don't picture you doing anything like that ever. Okay, hold on. Let's just stay. Okay, so you do this drive by. You're driving the car.
Yeah, I was a driver.
Someone else shoots the rounds, and then you guys, probably because you guys are high or whatever. But then later, you guys, in an attempt to ditch the gun, you guys go not back to the crime scene, but close. Like we kind of pretty much.
We just kind of wanted to skirt and just like look down the street and see like if there was anything. We were in a new vehicle. We were in the white dude's truck. So the white guy had a truck, and he's like, "Hey man, we gotta get rid of that." So he all of a sudden became a criminal investigator. Like he
was this criminal mastermind. Also.
Yeah, all of a sudden, you know what I mean.
So you guys you're trying to dump the gun in a lake or something,
in a river, yeah,
and then they pull you over and you get caught or something. How do you guys get caught?
So really, we didn't get caught for about 3 days. But really, it was like the people in the car. Those 3 people that I said not to have in the car, they all end up like telling their best friends, and then they got anonymous call. It was just ridiculous.
That's just ridiculous. So weird. Okay, so you go back to prison. I know there's a lot of details.
There's a lot of details in that
we're not going to be able to get to, but you basically that sends you back to big boy jail.
This puts me into prison. This takes me out of the juvenile system and puts me directly into prison.
At the age of 17, almost 18.
By the time I'm done with the case, and I've been in county jail this whole time, you said there's all these people in county waiting.
Yeah, I was reading.
That's me. I was in there for like 10 months, I think.
Yeah, just kind of getting ready for this pod. I was just reading up on statistics, and one statistic I came across was 1 in 3 people in jail haven't even been tried yet. Like they're just sitting there waiting for their trial, I think is one of the statistics that I read.
Yeah, that's what it is like you get caught for a crime that you're accused of. Let's say you're accused of drug dealing. They must have caught you. Until then, they might have depleted you of your bail, so you're not allowed to bail out, or maybe you can't bail out. It's so high, and so you're just there till your trial date, and that's why that's like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I have a close friend of mine that messed up pretty good, and so he's like in jail. I don't know. Might go to prison. I don't know. And so anyway, I go to like this hearing thing, and it's basically the whole event was they were just going to schedule him out for a different event. So basically what I learned was there's so much crime happening. They don't even have time to figure this out. Like they're going to have to do it a year later. It's just crazy to me. Yeah. It's just crazy. Like there is so much crime happening.
You know what's so crazy? It's funny that you say that because you're surprised on that. Well, me was a criminal, knowing that crime was happening, I go to federal prison and I meet all these bank robbers, and I'm like, and so bank robberies aren't really like they've done a thing where bank robberies get robbed. Banks get robbed all the time, but they don't put it on the news and they don't put it on in papers anymore, because it can bring fear to the populace that our money's not secured. But there's more bank robberies happening than you even know of. Really? It'll blow your mind. It's just like a bank robbery every day going down. Dang. And you never hear about it because they just don't report on it anymore.
There you go. Okay. So you go back, this gun charge, you're back to prison, and you're in prison from 17 to 22-ish, 23-ish?
Yeah, when I get out of state prison, Utah
State
prison.
You get out of Utah State Prison.
23.
And now you're a certified gangster now.
Yeah, and
like
you know what's so funny is and I'm so grateful for this because looking back on that, actually talking to some old friends from back in those days. One of them asked me, he's like, were you ever courted in the gang? Courted means you ever get jumped into the gang, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I never was. I was supposed to on 2 different occasions, one time even in prison and one time on the streets. And I never did, but I hung out with them and did all these crimes with them that I just was a part of them, right? But it's so funny because it's one of the reasons why it was easy for me to walk away from the gang, because I actually was never courted into the gang. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never was actually put into the gang, even though I'm legitimately certified with the federal government and everything as a certified gang member with the feds. And I'm going to say most people that are even actually in gangs might not even be certified with the feds. You have to actually get certified with the feds to get certified with the feds, which means you have to get a federal crime or get some type of federal FBI done came and put you in their database. Like, you must be doing something. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If your state and feds are totally separated, so state like issues are different than federal issues. You know what I mean? So you're taking it to a new level. You're going federal. That's what I'm saying.
So like, Levi, like, and I don't know you that well,
Yeah.
but like, okay, you just say like you're living the gang life, you're committing these crimes. Like, what is your thought? Is your thought process like, yeah, this is not good, but it's just this is my life, this is how I survive? Or were you just oblivious, like that, like you weren't even thinking about it? This is just the life, like this is just how you live? Like, do you know what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah. So like
where was your moral conscience throughout all this stuff, throughout like committing all these crimes?
Yeah, so I wasn't never out there like just committing crimes. I mean, I was a weed dealer or whatever. I was a gang member, but like I was never out like on a daily basis. What crimes can we commit today? No, it was never nothing like that.
Or is it more like fitting in?
Yeah,
family.
Yeah, so you have like community structures. So every single one of my, like, especially once I got out, I'm only like. And mindset matters, because once I get out, I'm like determined in my mindset. And what am I determined about? Well, I'm determined that I'm this somebody now, right? And I hold this certain importance to certain people, whether that be from the gang, okay? And that my life, this is the life that, like, for example, if you get off your mission from the Mormon church, you're pretty determined that's your life.
Yeah. And it's like, I just gave 2 years of my life to this. So like, I'm in it now, because I don't want those 2 years to be wasted. Like,
and
so
it
like,
doesn't even make sense for you to like leave.
Yeah. It's because like, this is what you've invested in.
Thank you. Same concept. It's just,
that's why I asked, because I really, and this is a thing that
it's like, I invested in this. I know this is what it is. It's me against the world. And so I say the mindset, because the mindset is like, I am on defense. I'm a minority here in this country. It doesn't matter. Whatever the system or whatever is like thrown out there, like, what is the community? Because it's not just me. I'm not like this sole person walking through. I got everybody. Like, there's a whole world. Do you know what I'm saying? That I'm walking in. That validates what I'm saying.
Yeah, and me and Sam talk about this a lot. Like, even the people who are really, really different, like, if you get down to the core of it, we're all doing the same thing. We are, like, you in the criminal world, like, what drives you to be in that criminal world is the same thing that drives someone to want to be in a religion or to be part of something positive and good. Isn't that bizarre?
That is bizarre.
So weird. Like, you guys have the same thought. The same
and just you saying that is such a good thing, because I'm sitting in prison, and I'm in a maximum security prison. I'm in Victorville, California, United States Penitentiary, high maximum security prison, Victorville, California, Southern California. I say, dude, I went so far. Like, none of my friends I grew up with are here with me right now. None. Like,
They're probably dead or in jail, prison.
No, like, all my friends I grew up with are Mormon and live in Logan, Utah still, and have a bunch of babies.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So those guys, like, I think I became angry, and when I took the wrong choice, and I felt like I got outcasted, I was like, okay, this is my path.
And you're searching for the same thing they have. You're searching for community and balance and worth and purpose.
Yes.
Like, that's what you're looking for.
Yes.
It's just a totally different way of going about it.
Exactly.
Not a healthy one.
No.
Okay, so you're out, 22. Gangster, you're in a gang, or you're part of this gang, basically. Initiation, no initiation. You're hanging out with these dudes. And then you go back to prison at age 23.
Yeah, 23, 24.
24-ish.
Yeah. Like,
and then you're in there, and then you got out when you were 30. How old are you when you got out for your last?
So it's like 32, actually.
30, so you're in there for 8 years.
I didn't get start to get my life, like, out of homelessness and all that till I actually was 34. Like, really thinking about the story, because I don't get back out.
Hold on. Let's get to homelessness later.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you do to go to prison the third time?
So I get out of prison after all that drive-by shooting, and I'm out. I actually tried to get a real estate license. I wanted to become a real estate guy. So I'm only out for 4.5 months. And during this 4.5 months, my first episode out, I'm out for 4.5 months. I'm in school. I'm going to college and all this. And I'm trying to become a real estate guy, you know what I mean? But at the end of my real estate course, which was a 6 months course, no, I'm not even out. Didn't even get to that point. Midway through my real estate course, they let me know that they would be unable to give me my real estate class because they found out about my prior history. So it was like pointless for me to even be there. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't going to be able to get my license. You know what I'm saying? So I was just taking school for free, more or less. You know what I mean? And so I was trying to weigh my options, and I run into some skinheads from Utah State Prison that I knew that I had beef with out on the streets, and I got stabbed on the streets. And in this course of being stabbed on the streets, the stabber from the skinhead groups of Utah has organic white skinheads that come from here, two gangs that come from out of Utah. They've been here for a long time. The guy that stabbed me ended up getting stabbed back with his own knife. And really it was in the tussle, because we were tussling. He was trying to kill me, and we fell, and the knife went into his stomach. So cops came right at that moment, because this was out in the street, and I got arrested again for defending myself from this guy, which is fine. But once you're on parole, there's no self-defense. That's like stripped from you.
Yeah, with your record and that, you're screwed.
Yeah, there's no self-defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and now, what prison did you go to for this third one? Like, it was wild.
Yeah, so I went the feds is like the whole United States is their state per se. They can send you anywhere they want. So it's very common to get administrative transfer if there's anything that happens in there, whether you get put into protective custody or you get beat up. Let's say if you got beat up, even though you don't have to go into protective custody, that's a really big deal in there. It's all prison politics. Once you go into protective custody, you can never walk the line again. You know what I mean? So you can never go out into general population again. And so protective custody is like being a snitch. It's like the worst way to go out almost, you know what I mean? Because you end up housing now with the snitches, the child molesters, the rapists, the sex offenders. That's the only place they can safely put you is with those guys, you know what I'm saying? Because they can't put you in with the common.
I mean, I'm saying, like, I know, but I mean, I don't know, but like, sure. I don't. Okay, so you're in California, right?
No, my first was United States Penitentiary, Florence, Colorado. And the reason why I emphasize United States Penitentiary, because United States Penitentiary is a classification for the federal government. It's all their maximum security prisons. So anybody that's ever been in the feds, you can always ask them, were you in a USP or FCI? And that determines where they were at in their calibration of like their level of security.
Dude, I should have brought like pen and notepad. This is I'm like, I feel like I'm learning so much about the system.
The FCI is called Federal Correctional Institution, and that's a medium security all the way down to like your camps where you have your judges, your ex-cops, all that stuff where people are like, oh, being incarcerated in the feds is like being in a retirement home. That's all FCI. That's all like low. Once you cross over and go into the USP or United States Penitentiary system, there's only about 15 of them in the nation. Those are all maximum security. So that has all your terrorists in there. And then we have the ADX. So they have a supermax, and that's Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and Florence, Colorado, it's 13 levels catacomb.
And you were in there?
I was not in the ADX.
Okay.
But like Timothy McVeigh was in the ADX, like people, John Gotti was in the ADX, like the major kills, any like massive terrorists or anything, they would be in the ADX, But if they were to leave the ADX, let's say after 10 years, they were to get out of the ADX, they would immediately go over to the USP where I was at.
So you're like next tier down.
One step down. I'm one step down. I'm in literally one of the highest security prisons in the nation.
And why really? Why?
Exactly. That's exactly what I said when I get there. So now in retrospect, I have to say, you could say it was like, I don't know.
So was it frustrating? Like, hey, I know I messed up, but like, I shouldn't be here though.
That's exactly what happened when I first got there. I was like,
I wonder if that's how everyone feels though. Like, no matter where they're at.
There was 2 buses of convicts that were taken to this compound, and they stopped at the FCI, which is, it's a whole complex area. The USP is like over on this side, and all the FCIs are on this side. So they stopped at the UFCs. They called everybody but 4 people off the bus, and it's me and like 3 other dudes, and these dudes are going to the ADX, and I'm like, I think I was supposed to get off here.
I'm Levi from Utah. I'm Mormon.
From Logan,
like,
Utah.
I don't.
I have 5.5 years only, which is, it sounds like a lot of time, but in there that was like 0 time.
Do you feel like, are you just like hopeless
at this moment?
Or like, where's your like mind?
No, you know, it's
are you
so
just
crazy.
beat down, like ready to give up, or like where are you at with like mentally?
Yeah.
Going back to this place.
Dude, it's actually really scary. It's really like intense. There's a lot of anxiety and adrenaline that's going through your body at this time.
I could only imagine.
Yeah. And especially when you get on the line, you know that like some really hardcore, hardened criminals are going to come up to you and question the fuck out of you. And you, whatever you say at that moment, you're and it's so crazy because your lip better not quiver type shit. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta,
like in the most scariest moment of your life, your lip better not quiver, boy.
It's like poker face to the max. Like you gotta like fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
So real quick, I just want to ask you some questions about prison.
Yeah.
Okay. You dropped the soap in the shower at prison. We all know this joke.
Yeah.
How true?
I'm so
how
glad you
true?
brought this up.
How true is this?
Okay, so on that same note, because I know you heard about the soap being dropped or whatever, right?
Yeah, everyone.
Okay,
yeah.
But you also have heard, and
I
know
think
everybody.
you watch The Office.
No.
Don't drop the soap. Don't drop the soap. Yeah. Prison Mike. You remember Prison Mike, Ryan?
Yeah. These guys are so funny.
And Prison Mike. All right, sorry, go ahead.
Well, everybody knows, right? Everybody knows that like rapists they get killed in prison.
That's why
child molesters, they get killed in prison, right?
Right.
So if you drop the soap and a man rapes you, would that make him a rapist? So how is a rapist chilling with you in prison to have sex with your butt? It totally counteracts everything. So I'm gonna keep 100. That doesn't actually happen. If you're dropping the soap and you're in a shower with another man, because they're all individual showers, so only the county jails are.
So it's not like a group shower.
No.
See, I'm envisioning like a group shower.
No, the old school prisons, they were like everybody just go in there, whoop. And I think back in the days, and even in the East Coast, the politics are different. So in the East Coast, like whites and blacks can house together, and like you can be homosexual and just hang out with everybody.
But surely, like that stuff happens, and like you've heard stories of it happening. So it happens. It's just more rare than we think.
No, it happens in the homosexual community.
Oh, like within the prison.
Within the prison, there's a homosexual community, and those dudes, they rape each other. They do that, but that's like their world. Over here, because I was a Crip. I was a gangster, bro. Like, there's not going to be any gay Crips. Like, those dudes will get killed. Like, if you come out, if you're a Crip or a gangster, and you come out that you're a homosexual, and you play with, as they say in there, oh, you've been touching them boys? Like, bro, I can't even shake your hand. Like, what were you just touching with that hand?
It's like in Prison Break.
In Prison Break. So
there's this character named Teabag.
I know.
And he'll pull out his pocket. And like if you hold on to his pocket, like you're his bitch, basically. Anyway, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. How violent is this thing? Like on average, like how many fights are going down? How many like shanks, weird weapons you guys make, which is actually kind of impressive. Like some of the stuff you guys make. Oh, dude, real quick. You got to keep it short, but can you just tell us real quick about you making the ink?
The ink, yeah.
Real quick. Try to keep. Where are we at, Ryan, with time? 42. Oh my God, we're at 42 minutes already.
Yeah.
Real quick.
You guys have the other podcast. You
can do it.
Intertwine anything?
I don't know, Ryan. Probably not. Just do it. Do it in 2 minutes. Can you do it in 2 minutes? So you're in prison.
You're in prison. You're making
and you're making this ink for tattoos, and you make the best ink.
I perfected it. I perfected it down. But basically, what it is we would take a empty tuna fish can. You'd have the lid that you obviously spun off of it, and then with nothing in it, we'd fill it with oil. We'd make a wick out of like material, and that wick we'd put a hole inside the top of the lid. And we'd fill that up. So whatever weight, like when I say weight, I meant weight of the oil, which would be like people use Vaseline. People would use baby oil. which is a really lightweighted oil. How I became so good, I found out that if I burned olive oil or vegetable oil, which is a heavier weight oil, it burned a darker soot. But you would have to make a heavier wick.
And this is not okay for you to make.
No.
Like,
No.
so how are you just hiding in the corner?
No, in your cell. You're doing it yourself.
And like your cellmates like help, like, hey, like keep an eye out type
I'm like,
of thing.
yo, I'm gonna be making some ink today.
And then like, where do you get the tuna? Like, where do you get all this stuff?
So the tuna can you order off a commissary. To make a fire, you do it from your plug, your outlet. There's a way to like get a piece of tin.
Man, it's just like, so crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you start it, and then once you start that wick and it starts burning that oil, it creates a black smoke, a soot. And then we put literally the paper bags from like your grocery store, excuse me. We put that over and tape it to the floor and put wet sponges on the top, and it would sizzle on the top. It'd be like, and the bag would be like breathing like this, but it would be collecting all the soot. After for me, I could do it in 4 to 6 hours. Most people do it all night long, like 12 hours, because they'd have this tiny wick. They were scared. And I was a master at it. So I'd have all this. Yeah,
you had the best ink in prison. I think it helped you survive, honestly. It was one of the things you did.
Turn it upside down, there'd be a big cone of soot that built up.
And that was the ink.
Yeah, and then you take a poker card and you would just like scrape it all off. It was funny because every time I come out myself after making ink, I just have like, cause it just floats in the air. Soot is so like...
Dude, you should create your own podcast and just tell all your prison stories because we just don't have time. But it's super interesting. Okay, so you're in this prison, pretty brutal, pretty big time.
Big time.
Age 23 to 32-ish, you get out?
32.
Okay, you get out at age 32. Because I want to get to your 90%. Because your 90% is incredible. But I did want to talk about your 10% and just paint the picture to our listeners like you've been through some shit.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, man. No, really.
And so you're out of your third stint in prison, age 32. Talk to us about that. Like you end up homeless, and then you get into tattooing, which kind of turned your life. Is that an overstatement?
I was such a good tattoo artist in prison that like I literally when I came home, I remember I had like $2,000 saved up. Which is a lot of money
for an inmate. Yeah, hell yeah.
Inmate to make it inside and to bring that out. Do you know what I mean? That was like, bro, that was like 200 bands, like damn near. That's what it seemed like. The value, the value in Compass, But anyways, it wasn't obviously $2,000 not enough to maintain your life on the street when you first get out. But there's the thing is when I first got out, because as you said, I wake up one morning in Victorville, California, and I was like, bro, this is not what I signed up for. Like my life, I'm Levi Lieske from Logan, Utah. I love fishing. When I was a kid, all I wanted to do was be a mountain man. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, I've had that thought too, like after the accident, and like, I'll just be sitting and I'm like, how did I get here? Like, how is this my life? So weird, right? I think that's kind of what you're talking about. Like, what the hell? Is going on,
dude. And I'm saying this after I just saw some immense violence. Like I just saw a whole gang war like go down where it was between the DC Blacks and some of my boys, some of the Crips. But the Crips on the Victorville yard was about 140 deep, strong. So when this scenario went down, it went down on the other side of the yard. It had nothing to do with my side of the yard. But they had killed a Crip, and then there was a whole like thing that came off of it, right? And I just remembered like we after we got off lockdown, we were on the yard, and there was probably like 120 of us on the yard, and I actually spoke on the penitentiary yard for my car because I rolled with the Asian Islanders, and we were united with the Blacks, and so I speak because I'm good at speaking, and a lot of the Asians aren't that good at speaking, so they're like, Levi, we want you to speak. So I remember I speak amongst these gangsters on the yard in for my peoples, and afterwards I was like, dude, this is not what the fuck I wanted. Dude, I grew up as a small Mormon boy in my life, I wanted to. I didn't know what I wanted, I think I didn't. I knew that I didn't want that. You know what I'm saying? I was like, and I started to bring up like. In my mind, I started to replay like who I was as a kid. You know what I mean? And
like, where did it go wrong?
Yeah, where did it go wrong? Yeah. Like where was it? Because I didn't want to be a gangster. Like I think that it was, and that's it. And I think that's the one of the morals of the story is that like you can become anything that you want to become, and
Good or bad.
good or bad, dude. All you have to have is desire and thought, and desire comes from emotion, and that emotion comes from some type of thought process that you're continually playing in your head. And for me, it was like this defense against my father, against like the people that I thought loved me, and then like betrayal from the religion or whatever. That's fine, but then it's like, well, how do I be strong? And my only way to be strong is to try to be a thug, because that's all I saw. And so as a child, in the child's mind, this all made sense, but now that I'm like way older and like this shit is serious, I'm like, Victorville was like, bro, that shit was violent. Like 87% of the yard has more than one life sentence. We're talking about like killer. Every single person's down there a killer. You know what I mean? Like, and man, the intensity, just like at 5 a.m, you could cut with a knife. I used to say that, and like the whole time I was there, I had to pack a knife. I became an expert at like having to like move knives, and we found steel that would go through the metal detectors and all sorts of things. You know what I'm saying? So it became like you become really like in tuned into this environment that you become. But when pulling out, it was like, how do I get back to that little boy that like was awed by life? You know what I'm saying? How do we get back to that?
Yeah, I remember you telling me, so you're out of prison and you're like homeless in a car. And I think was there ever a moment for you? Did you ever have to go through a phase of acceptance? Like, hey, a lot of this is my fault and I need to accept that. And because I think what immediately follows acceptance is, okay, now that I've accepted it, what can I do to change it? Like, what am I going to do now about this thing? And that's the whole 1090 thing. Like, so here's your 10%. And now it sounds like you reached a phase where you're like, okay, what am I going to do about, like, where do I go from here? Am I going to go back to prison? Am I just going to stay in the system my whole life? Or what? Explain that you're in this car homeless and then you find the tattooing and like you're doing amazing now. It seems like anyway, I don't know.
Yeah. So, when I was in the car, the reason why I was homeless in the car is because I didn't know how to present my face to the world anymore. I didn't want to show my face to the world as this gang member, and I didn't want to go hang out with my friends. I didn't want to, like, everybody in my life at that moment was like a felon, was dealing drugs, was doing everything behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? It was just like,
so it's like if I go back, I'm just going to go back to prison basically. If I hang out with them again.
Yeah. And I was already a 2-time felon with a gun. So I knew I had one more chance. Yeah. And the level of what I had did in my life, like the totem pole I had climbed, I was like, yo, I would had to have packed a gun. The people I was with was way too serious. You know what I'm saying? And even on that, I was like, with all this energy and everything that I did in my life, if I would have did everything that I did in my life, but on a positive end, where would I be right now? Would I have a home? Everybody in my
if you were to take your same passion, drive, energy that you put into the gang life, if you would have put it into something, I don't know what word we use, but like better and more beneficial.
Yes.
Like, where the hell would you be, dude?
Where the hell would I be?
Like, man? Crazy to think about.
And that's like really, to go to that moment in the car, you know what I'm saying? I had to just come to a realization that my mindset was killing me, man, and that I had a victim mindset. At this moment in my life, I was blaming the world for all my problems. I was blaming the fact that I was a child, blaming the fact that my dad beat me. I was blaming the fact that like nothing was fair. It was me against the world. That like my family didn't love me. I was blaming everything, and I was like, dude, this is my only thing, but this is not what I wanted. You know what I mean? It's so crazy because now I just traveled to Tibet. I travel the world. I'm a world traveling tattoo artist. And one of the people, I traveled to go see some ancient healers. And they talk about how 95% of the human race doesn't know what they actually want. 3% knows what they want, but they can never achieve it. 1% knows what they want, they achieve it, but they don't enjoy it. And it's only 1% of the human population that achieves what they want. They obtain what they want. They love what they have, and they live a fulfilled life. And so,
and I bet like how many of those 1%ers are lying? Exactly. It's probably less than that.
It's probably less than that. You know what I mean? It's less than that. And I the reason why I was homeless was because I didn't know what direction to go, and I couldn't go back to the gangbanging, and I didn't have a home to go to. So I just like went to the streets. And I was like, I got to figure this out. You know what I mean? And I think it was in that darkness, in that moment where I was like all by myself and taking all this responsibility, that I truly realized that like my life was so unbalanced with victimization and blame that I had no ability to see the gratitude in my life and the things I could be grateful for. And in that gratitude, I could see the person who I was. And it was in those type of moments that I started to like truly count my blessings, as small as they were, in a moment of like homelessness, which I'm very proud of myself to do. And it guided my life to like, and it allowed things to be released from my psyche, in the sense of like negativity of the things I did, blame. And that allowed me to fucking really focus in on like my abilities, my talents. And that was like art and being a tattoo artist, and then really just being open, man. You know, like, cause I went through everything, I didn't feel like I had to be a tough guy anymore. So I just let it go. I let go of the chip on the shoulder. You say you're very personable. Yeah. Cause I like had to be friendly. I had to learn how to be friendly again, you know? And it was a struggle, man. I had PTSD really bad, and it was an up and down, but I know that through the power of like counting my blessings and gratitude, I saw a path that allowed me to fall back in love with my life. And in that, like, miracles unfolded in my life. And that's a message I can truly tell, that through the power of gratitude, miracles can unfold in your life. And it's only through the vibrational resonance of gratitude that miracles are capable. So counting blessings was like the ultimate tool that I used. And instead of acknowledging irritations or things that bothered me or people that pissed me off, I would ignore those, and I would start to think about the positive ideas. Because prior to that, my mind was just so filled with negativity, and I didn't want it. It was draining, you know? And so in that, since then, because of that, I've traveled the world. I've become a world traveling tattoo artist.
I think, sorry, not to cut you off, but I just love what you just said, because gratitude is really something I struggle with. And I'm better now, but like right after the car accident, that first year, especially, like,
how could you?
There's just like, and the survivor's guilt I had, it just turned everything sour. And I had a really tough time being grateful for anything. And I agree with you. And I didn't think about it at the level that you just expressed. But I think you're right, dude. I think going through all this shit you went through and now you're homeless all by yourself, and to start with gratitude, like what were you even thankful? Like, what did you even start with? Like, I'm grateful that I'm in this car right now.
Yes.
Right? Like, dude, you got to start.
Dude,
people ask me all the time, like, how do I find my purpose? I'm like, dude, you literally start with the smallest thing. Like, people try to like skip the first 4 steps of the ladder. Like, they just want to get to the top. Like, dude, like you take the first step on the ladder, get out of bed, clean your house,
yes,
apologize to an old friend, tell another friend thank you. Like, start super basic and small. And I think that's what you did with your gratitude. And then it grew and grew, and now you have a bunch of shit to be grateful for. And there's just something about people who have been through unfair or just terrible circumstances, when they're able to find gratitude within it, I think big changes start to happen. And we always talk about this on the 1090 podcast, failure and pain is necessary and good for growth.
Yes.
And if you can find the beauty in that and be grateful for that, that's a next level of mental toughness, and that's next level stuff right there, in my opinion. Yeah. And I think that's so powerful. What you just said is you found things to be grateful for in your darkest moments. And I think that flipped your life around. Not to be too dramatic, but that's what it sounds like. Tell us how cool you are. Tell us how I follow you on Instagram. I know you're super, super talented. I think being in prison, do you think that helped you? Like, Because in prison, you're tattooing with
single
guitar
needle.
strings, single needle, and that like.
Yeah, I'll be talking about that on my podcast. All that,
Yeah,
like,
dude.
shit, yeah.
But talk about tattooing, how it maybe
Yeah.
helped save your life and turn this thing around for you.
Tattooing, like, man, I'm so glad I'm a tattoo artist, and that's something I had to evaluate too in my life. Like, who am I? What am I doing? What's in my life that I need to keep? And tattooing was something that like carried me through it all. I think it's one of the reasons why I never got hurt in prison was because I was such a good tattoo artist. People like protected me. Like, no, don't hurt the tattoo artist. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I like got lucky. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And then I rolled with the Asians, so I didn't have no race restrictions. So I tattooed on everybody. Where if I was like with the white boys or something, I couldn't tattoo on minorities or whatnot. You know what I mean? But anyways, but tattooing, because of tattooing, it has like allowed me the freedom of to be in my own lane. It allowed me to make money from my own hands and to have my own business and not actually go answer to somebody else. You know what I mean? And now it has allowed me to create massive connections and really alter people's lives. I believe that tattoos change the way you look at yourself, and it changes the way the world looks at you. And if it changes the way you look at yourself, then it also changes the way you look at the world too. And so I know people, I have people that are in their 60s that are just kind of got to a plateau place in their life. And then I bless them with like a half sleeve of some miraculous masterpiece, one that's full of a bunch of whys and inspiration from their life. Yeah. And then they're like calling me even months later, like, Levi, you were right, man. This tattoo, I'm walking around with my shirt off. I haven't walked around with my shirt off in 20 years, and I've had girls that had, and they have the reverse effect. I've had girls that had ugly tattoos and were afraid to show their body and came in, and I was able to, cover that up because I'm an excellent cover-up artist and transform their lives too. And so, but it transformed my life. I've traveled all over the world. I've been to Bali, Indonesia, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, all over Europe. I've been trained by Italian artists. And so it's like it's really inspired. It's really helped me capture my dreams and make me re-believe in my life, and yeah, dude, being locked up and, art is something that you can never take away from me. So, the art, the inspiration of art.
That's so cool. Yeah. I have one more question for you and then we can wrap this up.
Yeah.
So we kind of, in the intro, I talked about how I went to Virginia and spoke to those juvenile detention centers. And I asked like, how many of these kids are coming back? And they said, basically everyone. And dude, it was sad. Like some of these kids, they told me like some of these kids are going to be back here just so they have shelter and a meal. Like they purposely get in trouble to come. Like so it's just like a different world.
The way they can get like structure.
So, and like, dude, the system just kind of sucks because no one really cares that. Like even the people who are working there, like at the end of the day, these line staff, they have issues, they have problems, they have kids. They're doing like they go home and they have. You know what I mean? Like, and I did it too. Like, I just went there, spoke, and then I left. It's not like I dedicated my life to say, like, like, no one cares that much. I hate to say it. Yeah. But, like, the system just kind of sucks. It does. So, someone like you've been through the system, and you made it, dude. Like, you have this successful, you seem happy, great life. If you had to tell these kids,
yes,
like, 12, 13, these young kids going to these juvenile detention centers for the first, second time. Like, and I know I'm putting you on the spot here and it's hard. Like if you had more time to think about it, but like, what are you going to tell? Like, what do you tell these kids?
So that's such a good thing. And I'm actually glad you asked that because like to any kid that that hears this or that needs to hear something like this, it's like, I don't know who you are in your life. And I don't know like what situation you're in. And your situation could be far greater than any situation I've ever been. But no matter what has happened to you, there is something very, very special about you. There's qualities about you that lie in nobody else. And if you can find those and you can lean into that and you can in some way find a way to fall in love with yourself. And I know find some type of self-love or gratitude for your life that you can find that light and possibly that path out. But no matter what, that there's something special about us all. And so there's definitely something about you that can carry you to that next level. And It's about finding that. It's about finding that in us all, actually. You know, there's not no one word that would ever work. You know what I'm saying?
Um, I just have. Can I share a quote
Yeah.
to end this thing? Just kind of remind when you were talking, and just I sent this to someone the other day. So I'm just gonna read this quote, and then we'll probably be done. Is there anything else you want to say,
I think
Levi, before we
I think
end
it
this
was
thing?
good.
Dude, you really like. You should be a you should go to prisons and talk. No, I'm not kidding. Like, why am I speaking at juvenile detention? You should go speak at juvenile detention centers. Jesus Christ. Okay.
I should.
So I sent this to this lady who's really struggling on Instagram. I sent this to her because she feels totally alone. And when you were, it kind of reminded me of this quote when you were telling me about how alone you felt in the car. A lot of people experience this in life. Just the bottom of, like, absolute rock bottom. They just feel completely alone. No one's there for them. So this is a quote by Dostoevsky. Yeah, I don't know. I can't read very good. This is a hell of a quote, though. Kind of sad and dark, but also powerful.
Nice.
Walk on your broken foot and leave no trace of your hand on anyone's shoulder.